It is Powwow.
The Powwow with Mo podcast.
Welcome to the Powwow with Mo podcast. I'm Mo.
I am Powwow.
And this is episode 17.
All right.
Yeah, made it pretty far. So let's get into it, Powwow. What do we have for current events?
All right. So there are a few things. The first thing that I would like to bring up is the DACA thing that's been going on in Washington recently. Of course, President Trump has said that it was something that should not have been done, and that, you know, of course, the Democrats don't really want it. They just want to talk and take desperately needed money away from our military because, you know, we only spend over $700 billion last year on our military.
It's not, I mean, and I think people hear that number and it's like, oh, that's a big number. But it's the fact that, like, every other country combined add all their money and, like, they don't spend as much as us.
The next highest country is China, and they're under $200 billion.
Right. Like,
I know whenever I looked at things, you have to take the next, like, 20 countries and
equal it. Right?
Yeah, and they're equal to what we spend. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a very large number, but compared to what everyone else is, it's stupid large. But with the federal judge last week blocking Trump's and the rest of the Republicans trying to get rid of the DACA, it is now accepting, again, request for the, quote, Dreamers for protection
right. Well,
within a week.
I know we had that whole meeting where cameras were in there, and then, like, some Democrat woman was like, we just want to sign DACA now, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. And he agreed. And then this Republican was like, sir, do you understand what she's saying? And then he kind of got caught and he goes, of course I do. I agree with her. And so I thought all that was funny. Apparently he made some comments about shithole countries.
Yeah. Did you see that there, and this was a Fox News, so I don't know how much you could take away from it, but there was African countries that were meeting about Trump calling them shithole countries and what they should do. First off, I think it's crazy you're going to have a meeting about someone calling you a shithole country. Right.
Well, I mean, I think everyone's a little too sensitive. I think the liberal side is being a little too sensitive about it all. Yeah. A lot of countries are shithole countries.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, the problem isn't the fact he said shithole country. The problem is that he doesn't understand the people from the shithole countries are the ones that dream of a better life more than anybody.
Exactly.
Well, it's like, yeah, no shit. Of course they want to live in America. Like, I don't know. To me, it's like, yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently there's other comments. I saw some this morning where it was leaking out other things he may have said.
Yeah. It's getting nuts.
I'm just to the point where I'm like, you could tell me anything he said and I'll believe it.
I mean, have you seen the thing with the porn star?
Oh, yeah.
Where he paid $160,000. First of all, it's pretty cheap to keep somebody quiet. But in 2004...
I mean, not really for like a porn star. I mean, because they have sex anyway, so I'm sure they're just like, that's a good day. I won't tell anybody.
That's a really big tip. Sure, why not? I'll take it.
Right.
But I agree, because there's multiple people saying if this happened to Obama, people would be calling for impeachment or resignation.
Well, yeah. I mean, they claim Michelle Obama is a transvestite man, and they have there's crazy Obama things out there that aren't even close to true, but brought him down, quote unquote. It's
so crazy that the amount of negativity that he got for things he did not do, that Trump is doing, it's okay.
Well, I don't know. I think the conservative religious side, they've went a little too far. Like they're okay with too much stuff that just a few years ago was not in my America, you know. So
going to hell.
I mean, I think the biggest thing, of course, is the pedophile dude from Georgia, right? Like once that 100%. Happened, you're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I
agree. So you got anything else, Mo?
Yeah, I mean, I have just a couple of things. One thing, James Franco's stuff was happening the last time we recorded, but I didn't want to bring it up. I mean, again, I'm going to be biased, same way I was a little bit with Louis C.K. because I just really like James Franco, right? Yeah. And so I don't know all the stories, but just a little bit I've read online. Some girls, you know, their allegations are he pressured me into doing a nude photo shoot for $100 a day. And I'm like, well, was it his production company? Because It sounded like he was just trying to get, run the best possible business. And if he can use his charm and pull to get to pay you less money for the business he runs.
You accepted the money to do it.
Right. And then the other one that kind of caused an uproar that was on Twitter was a girl who was in a consensual relationship with him. He grabbed the back of her head, pulled towards his penis, like, give me a blowjob. And then I don't know if she did or not. It doesn't matter. And they continued to date. And then after they broke up and after the Harvey Weinstein thing happened, she said she thought back on it and thought that was an abuse of power. And I was just like if I did that to my wife right now, she's rather going to be like, cool, probably not, but like, or she's going to be like, fucking stop. And like, but either way, I just don't view it as sexual assault, that scenario. Now, more stuff could have happened, but I know those are the stories that are out. Another one's like he pressured women in certain scenes where he was like going to do oral sex to them to take off their plastic guard so that he could really get in there. And to me, that's just kind of on. They could say no. And I mean, I get it though. He has power, so you don't want to say no to him, whatever. But it also seems different because James Franco's like an attractive young man that could get women. Yeah. And I'm not saying those people can't be predators, but that seems different than like a Harvey Weinstein of like a monsterish man that's like, come on, supermodel, up to my room.
Yeah, I mean,
and so, but I did read where like Ashley Judd, some people were saying like James Franco's response actually been really good to this because he's not denying it, he's dancing around it a little bit, but he is like, I'm glad people are speaking up. I hope that everyone can. If I've done anything wrong, I want to learn from my mistakes. Like he is doing everything correctly as far as his response. Yeah, but he's gonna take shit because that's just the world we're in.
Yeah. So, yesterday there was an emergency alert sent to Hawaii citizens. It was a false alert, but it read, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill.
And it kind of was.
It was an accident.
Right.
Someone pushed the wrong damn button.
Yeah.
But I find it crazy that that's all it takes is somebody that makes a mistake and...
Well, I mean, it has to be that easy, though. If not, they couldn't get the message out if it was a real thing.
Well, okay.
It's a weird balance.
I was reading about this story about how it's supposed to happen. First off, it takes 20 minutes from a missile to hit from Pyongyang in North Korea to Hawaii.
Right.
They said that they would be able to alert citizens within 15... give them 15 minutes.
I don't think they would do it right now because they would at least wait till after the Olympics because them in South Korea just had this Olympic treaty thing. Anyway.
But so what happens is as soon as it goes off, STRATCOM along with some other areas like NORAD and some intelligence agencies like National Security, they all get in touch and then if needed, get the president involved, which I seen where there was a meme that, luckily there wasn't a real ordeal because he didn't have his phone on him on the golf course. Not that, you need to be able to get in touch with the president or anything.
Right.
But how it works is they meet together, they determine whether it's going to be against an ally or the United States, and then they notify the people, appropriately. But how it's supposed to happen is there's supposed to be two other ordeals with regards to a siren going off saying, listen to your radios. I didn't know that was a deal. And then there's another siren that says, okay, now there is a nuke or something coming inbound. And then there's, of course, the radio and TV broadcast. And then there's the emergency text notifications. So if you would have known that that's the policy that it goes by, you would have said, okay, this is a false notification to everyone because we didn't get the other two happen first. Right. Because they say that's what you should know because everyone knows that that's how it works, obviously.
Well, I mean, I think of that two ways. Whether one, no one knows because it's been so long since they worried about it.
Exactly.
Or they should all know because I bet they've given them heads up
with
the most recent North Korea.
The most recent one that they happened was at the beginning of January where they did a test.
Okay, then they should.
So they should have been slightly aware, but there was plenty of people that, of course, had panic. Some people forgot their pets. And they were like, oh, I felt terrible. I left my pet. And like... Well, if this was real, then you wouldn't have been able to go back and save your pet. Your dog's dead.
Right. Sorry. You did well on the test.
Exactly, right? you failed. But I thought that was nuts. The governor did come out and say this was, an egregious mistake. They apologized for the hysteria that happened. Luckily, no one went crazy. There was no looters or anything.
Right.
At least.
Well, honestly, my thought is like, if you're on Hawaii, you're kind of screwed. Because, like, right now,
where are you going to go?
If, like, we got a text message and it was like, nuke coming to Oklahoma, get out. We could go to, like, another state.
Yeah. Hawaii, what are you going to go?
Like, we could race. Ocean? We would just race the fuck as fast as we could go.
Yeah, we'd be gone.
They'd be like, on the surfboards, we're paddling out. We start paddling.
You know what I mean? It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that sucked. I did see, I'm sure you have, about the whole Mark Wahlberg getting paid a whole bunch of money thing. Mm-hmm. So they do reshoots for that movie. I can't even remember. The one they replaced Kevin Spacey with.
Yeah.
All the something in the world. I don't remember what it's called. But anyway, when they came back for reshoots, Mark Wahlberg got paid like $1.5 million for it. and Michelle Williams got like an $800 check or something.
Yeah,
something ridiculous like that. And then all these stories have come out about it where it's like he didn't have reshoots in his contract and she did, and that's why it happened. But then someone else leaked out actually he did have reshoots, but what he had in his contract was he had approval of co-star. So when they replaced the co-star, who was Kevin Spacey, with this other guy, he said, I have to approve it because of my contract. So how about you give me $1.5 million and I'll approve it and make this easier for you? To me, he just took advantage of a Hollywood studio.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone's taking that as he's against women. I don't think that was his intention.
No.
And then now he's donated like $2 million to the Time's Up Foundation, trying to make everything cool. And so everyone shuts up. But I don't think his idea, like, I think it's hard.
He's just on his grind trying to get as much money as he can.
Right. Well, I think it's hard for anyone to be like, for instance, like, kind of like where you work, you know, or whatever. Like, someone could look at you and be like, you're not against women getting the job. You're just like, I just want to make as much money as possible. Yeah. And if, like, somehow you doing well negatively affects a female, like, not you particularly, anyone in the world, it's like they were against women. And it's like, I think going after your own thing isn't necessarily meaning you're like against anyone else.
Agreed.
And so in that scenario, if I had to give Mark Wahlberg the benefit of the doubt, it's that he just saw an opportunity to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And why not? He wants another house or whatever.
I mean, yeah, he's trying to make another TV show or something. I just think people are getting too soft.
Well, and I think just all the Hollywood pay gap thing in general, it's always like Emma Stone made the most money, but like of this last year, but it's because her male co-stars agreed to like give up some of their money to make it equal pay sort of thing. So instead of it ever being like, you know, this male actor gets $20 million, this female got $5 million, they're like, why didn't that male actor give up his money for her? When it's like, why didn't the studio just pay both of them?
Yeah. Don't blame the person getting paid, blame the person paying.
Right. That's where I feel like some things get lost in that whole thing.
I agree with you. I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a plane in Turkey that skidded off a runway and then got stuck on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, I read the headline, but I did not read the story.
So first off, super sketchy, because like this runway and this cliff are like 100 feet away from each other.
Right.
It's like the bad wind comes in, has any kind of issues with the landing. You're going in the water. There's no way around it. I just find it crazy to me that you would build an airport and a runway when you've got all these other places to choose from. Just right on. I mean, literally, I would say it's within 100 feet.
I mean, I kind of get it because I play the video game SimCity, right? And when you play SimCity, you want your airports at the edge of town for whatever reason. I remember that's the way you want to do your layouts. So maybe that was just
they just had it on
their
the outside.
city designer played a lot of SimCity, is what I'm saying.
I got you. Okay.
All right, you can go ahead with current events. I'm out of any real news.
Okay, so this was something else. NASA's developed an autonomous space navigation that uses X-ray navigation. They said that as of right now, it would be able to help us navigate anywhere in our solar system and just outside of it. But obviously we don't know how far we can go because we've not been out there. But it was, they set up a 2-week.
I'm guessing when it's saying autonomous, is there also AI involved in this? Like where it could do it on its own if we just ask it to sort of thing?
It's very similar to like using a GPS.
Okay.
Think of it that way. But what they had done is it used these pulsars that they said is very comparable to how GPS currently works with navigating with satellites and saying, where something is. But what they had done is there is something on the International Space Station that says exactly where it was at. I don't remember what the name, I think it was maybe called NICER is the acronym for it, that takes specific readings from other pulsars.
Right.
Okay. And so what they had done is they had set up a 2-week time frame for this thing to figure out where this is at in relative to Earth and how far away it is. It took 8 hours.
Sweet.
And it was within 10 miles of where it was at, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Honestly, like, I think what people... I'm sure people get it. Computers do a lot. But the original reason we made computers was just to do big calculations.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's the whole reason they exist. And that, like, the tech field makes them is, like, we need to type in this equation that would take us too long to do on our own, and we'll have this computer do it.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't surprise me we've gotten there, I guess what I'm saying. The reason I asked about the artificial intelligence thing is it reminded me of a story I'd read within the last few weeks. You remember the Watson computer?
Yep.
IBM's Watson, and it's an artificial intelligence. It won Jeopardy and
Yep.
does all the things. Apparently, they had to purge it of some data because they gave it access to the internet, so it got onto UrbanDictionary.com.
Okay.
And it learned all the definitions there, so it got out of control to where when people would ask it anything, it kept saying bullshit. So someone asked me, that's bullshit. And it would say
awesome.
It said other vulgar things, like bullshit was its main thing.
Yeah.
And so they had to take it offline, go in, take out all the files that reference UrbanDictionary.com.
That's
and then
pretty
they put
good.
it back up.
That's awesome.
So awesome.
The last thing I seen was there was a study done. I don't know why people did this study, but I thought it was funny. That chickens prefer attractive humans.
Attractive by symmetrical standard sort of thing.
Symmetry, just kind of like how we subconsciously have. But they had a male face and a female face. They had an average, or what they consider average. I don't know what. There's no definition of what average is, but apparently it wasn't very symmetrical if they were just average compared to these very profound and exaggerated features of people.
Right.
And the chickens really liked the ones that were very symmetrical and very exaggerated on their features.
Did they meet these people in real life?
No,
or
there
were
was
the pictures?
there was pictures only.
Because, I could see in some way of you're just an attractive person, you put off a certain aura because people treat you differently.
Yeah.
You're more confident.
These were just pictures.
And that might could read through pictures. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. There was, now granted, this was a small sample size. There was 14 different people that they used.
Yeah, it's not many at all.
It's not a large one. However, it was abundantly clear the chickens preferred the ones that had very symmetrical faces, which I just thought was quite funny. So some people that I work with that say their chickens hate them, I'm going to be able to say, hey, it's because you're ugly. That's the reason why.
Science.
Science, exactly right. But that is the end of my current news.
All right, so on what I've been doing lately, been moving lots of beds in my house. Not that that's that exciting, but that's been what I did all day yesterday. But video game wise, I'm so close to near automata being 2 missions away. Mm-hmm. But I just haven't had time to just sit down and power through it.
Gotcha.
Sort of thing. Because I'm I know once I start the quest, it's going to, I'm going to have to pay attention for a minute. So I haven't really gotten around to it, but I will. Still playing Persona. This month on PlayStation Plus, if you're not familiar with PlayStation Plus, you pay however much money a month, or I do a yearly subscription.
Yep. And
you get 2 free games a month on PlayStation 4, PS3, and Vita. Sometimes more. But anyway, this month they have 2 really good games. So I want to download those and play them, but I have all these other games to play. So that's kind of been annoying for me. And then as far as video or what I've been watching, one thing I for sure wanted to bring up was on Young Sheldon this last week, there's a new character, a little kid named Billy, who might be my favorite character on TV in a really long time.
Yeah, I have not caught up on this week's Young Sheldon.
Okay, so when you do this Billy kid, he's so I rarely just crack up laughing out loud. Mm-hmm. And he would just say a line and I would lose my shit watching this little kid. He's just a dumb little kid and he's super funny. We watched Vice Principals, so that Danny McBride show. I'll say this about it going into it because I think it makes it better. I watched the first 3 episodes originally when they first aired and just was it's kind of slow. I like Danny McBride, but I don't really know if I'm loving the show. And then I just quit watching it. But then sometime last week, I was I'm going to pick it up, episode 4, where I left off, and I just finished it this morning through season 2. And there are only 2 seasons. There is not going to be a third, and people are kind of upset, but basically they wrote this as a movie back in the day.
Okay.
And then they expanded it out to 18 30-minute episodes.
Okay.
So when you know it that way, the reason the first 3 are kind of slow or doesn't grip you is because it's a movie. It's just the setup.
Gotcha.
Right, and then the end of the first season will have a little cliffhanger, and then the second season. But they filmed all 2 seasons at once. And anyway, it's super fun. I know you love Eastbound and Down, so I know you would like it. I think his character, Danny McBride's character in this, has more heart than Kenny Powers does. Because Kenny Powers doesn't have many redeeming qualities.
Not many at all.
He does a little more in this show, but it's really funny. I've really enjoyed it, so I would highly recommend that if anyone liked Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
And you have HBO. And then there's a new show on Netflix called Rotten. It's a documentary series about food. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's just a really good Discovery Channel show, if that makes sense. So the first one was about bees and the way like we keep losing all of our bees, and how like all of the honey we have now is not even real honey, because in China they figured out how to mix rice oil with honey, and you can barely tell the difference, but it's not really honey. So they kind of go into all this crazy stuff. And the second episode was about peanuts, which I found even more interesting, because people used to not be allergic to peanuts. That's a new thing.
Really?
Like within the last like 60 years, people have developed peanut allergies, and there's more and more people with them, and no one knows why. Like at all, even a little bit. No one has any clue why humans are becoming allergic to peanuts. But it's just happening. Yeah. So I fell asleep before the end of that one, so maybe they get into it more. I don't know. But anyway, if you're ever just want to watch something interesting, Rotten was pretty good.
Rotten, okay. And
then I know you watched Coop the other night, watch another crazy show that I'll bring up. It's a Spike Lee joint on Netflix called She's Gotta Have It. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is racist or not, but it's basically like Black Sex in the City. Like the main character is like an artist, and she has sex with a bunch of dudes, and to her that's cool. And I'm all for that, but I think they kind of overdo it. I think if any one person has sex with 3 other people on the same day, yeah, man or woman, it's probably in too much.
Yeah.
But there's one scene in that, and this might ruin it, but it was so gross that like Kubi brings it up every day since watching it. It's how much it's affected her, where this girl gets like the Nicki Minaj butt implants.
Okay.
And then she's dancing on stage, and everyone's loving it because she hadn't had no curves before, and she's really feeling herself. And then she falls off the stage and lands on her butt, and they explode. And then it shows the crowd, and there's like silicone all over everybody, and it's so funny. But like, it hit a nerve in Koopy to where she was like, "Oh my God!" Like I don't know, she just thinks about it like once a day now, where it's like scarred her for life. But it was a pretty interesting show.
That's good, man. We actually we were trying to catch up on some shows this week. We were watching Goldbergs last night from this week.
Oh yeah, I fucking love Goldbergs.
I had not laughed so hard at a Goldbergs episode as this one.
I will say it had like a Family Guy effect to me, where it was one of those that has like a premise.
Yeah.
Where it's like the dinner, and then it was like every 2 minutes it done that black screen with the white text of like, and at first I was like, they're overdoing it. Like, just show the dinner, and it would be better. But then by the end, because they kept it going,
the entire time,
eventually, all right, it comes back around.
It was really,
but yeah, it was a funny episode.
It cracks me up, Barry ordering the fish, and it was just, like,
I think did you stay for the extra little scene at the very end?
No, I didn't see.
Oh my God! So because they did the end where it was like it showed his real family. And then it went to commercial, and then it did another scene.
Oh, no, see, all I seen was, like, it showed where his pops was sitting at a table with somebody.
Okay, so then they showed, like, at the end of the Goldbergs, they'll show, like, his home video. So it showed them really having a dinner, and then it started pointing shit out, that they'd done the episode. And then it goes to commercial, and then it comes back to the next morning because Barry orders the fish, right? And everyone else had steak. And so Beverly had taken everyone's leftovers, and so Pops and Adam get a steak scramble. So they have some steak with some scrambled eggs, right? Yeah. And then she hands Barry, and she goes,
"Actually, hold on, I know what you're talking about."
She's like, "Your fishy scramble," and it's fucking old ash trout mixed up with scrambled eggs, and almost
like,
puked.
And he takes it. He's like, "It's so delicious. Anybody else want to trade me for their steak and eggs?"
Yeah.
So, man.
Yeah, that one was good this week for sure.
Man, yeah, it would just the Goldbergs killed me each time.
And I'm still watching Amazing Race.
Are you? Okay, I was wondering if you were.
Jess and Cody do good. They had a first ever thing. I don't know watching Amazing Race, right? Mm-hmm. But they made a big point like, this is the first time ever we're doing this. To where it was like at the end of a leg, it was a competition. Mm-hmm. And it was like, if you win, you get to go on. Whoever loses has to face the next team that gets there.
Oh, wow.
And then so like, even when these guys are way behind.
Could catch up.
They could still beat whoever's been there waiting for them,
because they're playing.
And so that was a pretty cool twist. But Sean Marion's team kicked ass this last week. First week, he sucked ass. So I was like, he's going to be so embarrassed by this. But they did better this week. So I'm going to keep watching Amazing Race just because, I'm already in the first 2 episodes. Might as well keep it going.
You got to finish it up, man.
And Ink Master started again this week. And that's my show.
Yep.
So back on Ink Master.
I actually seen a preview for that. Where it was like, a little bit different.
Well, it's like they brought back 3 previous winners and they're drafting teams.
I'll say they're drafting, right?
And going to compete against each other or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, man, we finally have got most of the sickness out of our house, which was great. My grandparents came down to bring us a fire pit that we had bought for someone, so that was cool. But yeah, we've been trying to catch up on the shows, but the Goldbergs cracks me up. Honestly, I feel like I have to watch Big Bang Theory because I've seen where it's going to be ending next year.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to.
Again, I mean, I don't I'm gonna watch them all because I've already watched them all up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But like even with this last week's episode, it's not a full episode.
No,
it's like the first. Every episode is the first half of an episode, and then you never get a resolution.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I feel like every episode gets shorter and shorter by like 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's now to the point where you're like 17 minutes of a show now.
And I find myself, because I do like Young Sheldon quite a bit, and even in the past Big Bang Theory episodes, Sheldon will talk about his childhood and like the way he was, and then they have him doing stuff now where you're like, he wouldn't easily do that.
Yeah.
Because he has these hang-ups. He's autistic or has Asperger's or whatever he has. And then so you'll watch Young Sheldon where it's like he has these defined rules, and then the Big Bang Theory on the same night, he doesn't like.
I know. I noticed that.
I wish it clicked a little better.
Agreed. But yeah, man, that's about all we have. I do want to give a shout out to your Jacksonville team. There is 6 seconds left in the fourth quarter. They are up by 10 points.
It's all because I got this badass new Jacksonville hat.
Right. I thought Pittsburgh may come back there for a moment when they had about under 2 minutes.
I did too, for sure.
It was getting a little nerve-wracking there, but it looks like the Jaguars are going to go on, which I know is not what 90% of people were predicting at all, which I don't see why anyone, what they thought, the Big Ben and Antonio Brown.
Well, what I kept getting annoyed about, because I listen to lots of podcasts, so all week everyone was like, well, you got to forget that week 5 performance where Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 picks and Leonard Fournette had all these yards. That doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. Like, in the playoffs, shit gets ratcheted up, veteran team versus young team. But to say, like, it meant nothing.
Well, and
like,
to
you
say
had a good
Leonard Fournette's season that he's been beasting on meant nothing.
Well, okay, so like, for instance, New England blows out the Jets twice a year in the regular season. If they met in the playoffs, so people be like, doesn't matter though, Jets got it.
Right?
No, you use like your previous shit that you saw, and that that's
so
part of it.
Just to get some stats on that, Leonard Fournette finished the game with 25 carries, 109 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
And that was hobble. And that was really only first half stats.
Exactly. Mainly first half stats because he got himself hurt.
Yeah, he was barely moving.
But, I mean, granted, Ben Roethlisberger does go off. He has 469 yards, 5 touchdowns is what he finishes the game with 1 interception. They did just score a touchdown. There's 1 second on the clock. There's no way for them to win unless they get the onside kick and run it back all in the same play.
I mean, if they did, they earned it.
Yeah, and I mean, that would be the biggest choke. I mean, even the Falcons would feel good at that point. But, yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah, and there was one thing I was wanting to bring up. It was last night. I was laying in bed. My phone was out of reach. And I had this thought in my head. I go, I need to put that in my phone right now. And then I was like, that's too far away. I'll just remember it in the morning. Woke up. Have no idea what it was, but it would have been awesome.
But you don't know what it is?
No idea.
All right, man.
All right, so we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I know this week we're doing top 5 favorite sports video games.
Yes.
When we mentioned that on the last episode, I thought this is going to be really tough. I don't think I can do 5. And then when I started working on it, I have a whole bunch, and I even have some where I'm like, I can't believe this didn't make my top 5. So turned out to be a little more competitive list than I thought it would be. So anyway, take a quick break. We'll be back and we'll get to that.
All right.
All right, and we're back. Powwow, what time is it?
It is email time. So, as always, if you have any questions, suggestions, or corrections, please email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That is THEPLWWOWWITHMO@gmail.com.
All right, and this week we do not have any new emails, but I did get back on Facebook.
That you did? First time in a very long time?
Yeah, it's been like over 3 months. And I did it just to say, hey, people, we have a podcast. Check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I got very few likes. So I don't know if it's like I haven't been on Facebook, so therefore I'm not popping up on walls.
Yeah.
I don't know how that shit works. But maybe some people listen. Who knows?
I mean, we know at least one person did.
Right. So our homie Travis, he did listen to the last week's episode, and he was disappointed neither one of us mentioned Chick-fil-A, not even as an honorable mention. I told him on Facebook, I've only ate there once, and it was all right. it didn't blow me away the one time I ate there, and we just don't have any around here.
No.
So I don't have much experience with it, but I know most people love it.
Yeah.
It's like most people say it is their favorite.
It is, but I mean, I don't eat it hardly enough to give a decent opinion on it.
Honestly, everything I hear about them makes me think I just don't like the company necessarily. I know a lot of people do because they're super religious, but it's like they're not open on Sundays, yet they got put inside of the Atlanta Falcons NFL stadium, whose games are on Sundays, so that stand's just closed all the time. So I think there's weird things. I'm just like, go make your money. And if we got one in Ada, I'm sure I would eat there because I love chicken. Yeah. But all right, let's get into our top 5 list.
All right.
Again, this is sports video games. I did not include any racing games because if you type in like best sports games of all time, you get lots of racing games and then you get professional wrestling games.
Exactly.
Now, I was okay with MMA and UFC, or MMA, UFC, and like boxing because those can be point based.
Yeah.
And they're more competition. Where like a wrestling game is a fighting game to me. When I played them, just a 3D one. So anyway, we'll get into it. I'm sure we'll have some honorable mentions afterwards, things like that. But Powwow, what is your number 5 favorite sports video game?
So my number 5 is going to be NCAA football. The year I'd have to go with is one that I remember playing at least predominantly first and with the most amount of people. Kind of what kickstarted me into NCAA football is 2004 with Carson Palmer.
Okay. We'll save that because I have that one later on my list.
Okay.
All right. My number 5 is a game you played, and it might not really be my number 5 favorite, but I just really wanted to shout it out. We had a lot of fun with it. Was Sports Champions.
Okay. I did not have it down, but it's a good one.
So I'll explain what that is for anyone who is unfamiliar. So the Wii came out, and everyone loved the Wii. I mean, I had a Wii. I liked it. You played some tennis, some bowling. All that was fun. The PlayStation 3 came out with a Move camera and controllers. The first PS3 I got was that bundle that came with all that.
Yep.
So it came with a game called Sports Champions. So it was a motion game. And it just, to me, was leaps and bounds better than any Wii motion game I played. Like, I had way more fun with that than Wii Sports. And Wii Sports is like the number 1 selling game of all time, I believe. But I just love Sports Champions. It had Bocce Ball, which I never played.
Bocce Ball was awesome to play.
But we played so much bocce ball. It had ultimate frisbee, like frisbee golf. Sorry, which was great. It had a gauntlet thing where like you are gladiators, where you're like a shield and sword. Yep. It had volleyball. It had one more archery.
Yeah, archery.
And archery was dope too. Like reaching behind your back to grab the arrow,
shoot it. Yeah.
We played that game a lot. Oh, and ping pong. I can't forget.
Man,
I played so much ping pong. Like I would be just sweating bullets in our living room playing ping pong.
Yep.
But it was like actually had to get up and move game. But it was just really, really fun. I would just put it against any other motion control sports game.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Like I said, I remember playing bocce ball. And we played disc golf. Quite a bit as well.
Well, and you could get a few people.
Yeah, that's what was fun.
Game.
It was having a multiplayer game and not having to, connect up or, get online with anybody. You could literally just have them in your house, and it was a great game.
All right, so what do you have for number 4?
So number 4, this one's kind of tough, but I had to put it on here, which is NBA Jam.
That's a good one. I thought about it.
So, I mean, honestly, I played this more. We had this place called Funhouse in Tulsa that had, I don't know, 250, 300 arcade games. Just about every game that you could think of on Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, Super Nintendo. They put them in an arcade game there as well.
Right.
And then also, obviously, playing at home. But NBA Jam, to me, it was fun because you had, like, the people popped up like you had the cards of them with their stats on the back of it.
Right.
And it was, I just liked catching on fire, having that fun in that game, in my opinion.
It's the most famous arcade basketball game, as in, like, opposite of simulation, where, like, NBA Street, even though it wasn't in arcades, it's an arcade basketball game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
NBA Jam, I didn't play it near as much as most other basketball games, but I understand how important it is. You're on fire is like a thing everyone knows.
Yeah, I was saying,
once you make 3 shots in a row, you're on fire. That's the way it works. I did hear fun stories of, because Michael Jordan's not in NBA Jam, right? When you're playing it, but it's one of the programmers got a hold, like Michael Jordan, King Griffey Jr., and one other person. Maybe it was Gary Payton, someone who wasn't in the league yet, so they couldn't make the game, but some young guy. Got a hold of the programmers that made NBA Jam, and they made those 3 guys a special cartridge each. So, like,
Really?
Ken Griffey Jr. has a cartridge of NBA Jam where he is on, like, the Sonics.
That's
like, he's
pretty
one of
sweet.
the people, which is so crazy just because that's, like, before games were really modded in the way we think today. So, I always like that about NBA Jam. On my list, I try to keep just, like, one type of sport.
Yeah, that's...
For one, so that's why I didn't go with NBA Jam.
And
but
I'm
it was
hoping
good.
you got one that I didn't choose.
Well, I thought about. I mean, I'll just give away. One of my honorable mentions was NBA Street and that kind of goes with NBA Jam. It was like the next generation, and NBA Street was so much fun. It just wasn't deep enough for me to say like it's a top 5.
It was, and I very similar to you. I tried sticking to one. I mean, besides football, I went to college and NFL.
Right.
But I'm hoping you have the next NBA. One that I wanted on here. But that's my number 4 is NBA Jam. Mo, what is your number 4?
All right. My number 4 is Skate 2.
Skate 2. Okay.
So skateboarding games, I think, are still sports games.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue against it. I probably could agree. But either way, I included it. Skate 1's awesome. Skate 3's awesome. I just think Skate 2 is probably my favorite of the 3. I really wish they'd bring it back. It was an open world skate game, but it used your analog sticks in a way that made the game a lot harder than like a Tony Hawk. Where Tony Hawk's, it's like square ollies or I don't remember the button, and triangle grinds. And it was just very much press a button, it does these things. Yeah. Where Skate's like how you flick your analog stick, the slightest amount really matters. And we loved Robin Big back in the day, and Robin Big are in the game.
Yep. Because
all these professional skateboarders are, and it's like a big open world, and you have to find people and do quests. So they basically took like Skyrim or that Elder Scrolls sort of thing, but it's like you're on a skateboard and it's a big skate world, and I just really loved it. And they had all those fun side things of like how many bones can you break. So like if you wrecked, it would do that see-through X-ray thing, and it would show all your bones snapping.
And your goal was like to try to break all of them in one.
Right. Well, there was different challenges, right? And you could like do $6 million worth of damage to your body or whatever the goals would be. But yeah, I played Skate a whole bunch. Skate 3, I did really like. They just tried to push it to that online thing where it was like, play with your friends online, share your parks, build your parks, and you done all this stuff, and it was fun, but they took the single player, there wasn't as much there. So that's why I went with Skate 2.
For sure.
All right, so what do you have for number 3?
Number 3, again, it reminds me of Funhouse because that's where I played it the most, which is Punch-Out. Obviously, you had the console version, but they had one there where it was you got to put on boxing gloves, and you got to actually do Punch-Out, but just your swinging. Now, granted, now that's called an exercise. But as a kid, you could just do that for hours all day.
I mean, it's kind of what we were saying about Sports Champions earlier, or the Wii stuff. Like, arcades had motion gaming before that stuff existed, and it was really fun.
And it just made it that much better.
It was just really expensive. It was always way more expensive than all the other games.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was like 8 tokens instead of like
so I remember
one or two.
There was that with the boxing. There was one where you had like a sword and you went around slicing people, but you had to stay within like this box while you played it. But yeah, I mean, I played Punch. I never owned it on the regular Nintendo. The only sports game I really remember owning on the regular Nintendo is Tecmo Bowl, and I played it a bunch.
Yeah.
But that's really the only thing I played way back then.
Yeah, see, I only played it very little on the Nintendo. We just, in my house, video games were not played that often.
Right.
You were very limited on playing that. So anytime I went to Funhouse, there was like 6 games that I played. Punch-Out was one of them. Again, you can only play it like 2 or 3 times. But if you, like with most other arcades, if you won, you got to keep playing and playing and playing. So you hope those 8 tokens lasted you as long as, 4 2-token games.
Yeah, and we had an Aladdin's Castle was like, I guess, the arcade when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had all those sort of games. I mean, remember they used to have VR stuff, and it was just too much. I couldn't spend $5.
Yeah, it was way
and I'm sure it was horrible, honestly.
Oh, it probably was.
But, all right, my number 3 is a game you have also played. Came out a couple years ago. I will say it is the most fun game on current generation consoles, which is Rocket League.
Yep.
Rocket League, do you have it on your list?
I have it on honorable mention. Okay. I don't have it on my list, but I do have it on the honorable mention.
So, I got a platinum in Rocket League. I loved Rocket League when it came out. I went back and bought all kinds of DLC, like little small packs, just because I liked the game enough, because it's all cosmetic stuff. Now they keep updating it, making new things. They now have like a basketball mode, hockey mode. Oh, I guess I'll explain Rocket League because it's not. I'm sure not everyone knows.
Yep.
So Rocket League, you're a car, and there's a giant ass soccer ball, and you take your car and you hit the giant ass soccer ball to try to score a goal in the goal.
Yeah.
And it's like 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 2-on-2. There's different game modes. It's a very simple concept, but the physics are just so good.
Yeah.
And like you can do like people do stuff in the game the developers never intended. Like there's people that are so good they just fly around the whole map in their car, like flying in the air. And then me, I'm like in a big old van because that's the only way I can play it, and I can't figure out that shit at all. Every once in a while, I'll get like I got to go back and play, and I'll play it for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it's cool because they reset their like rankings every so often. So I'm like if I got back on a date, it would say like I'm a nobody, like I'm a big noob, and I would play other people who are shitty as well. Which is good.
Good, so that we can catch up for a minute.
Right. But if you haven't tried I think it's on everything. It's on PlayStation, Xbox. I know Rusty recently got a Switch.
Oh yeah.
It is on Nintendo Switch. I know Rusty's on a giant sports game guy, but this I think appeals to anyone. Like I just don't think of this even as a sports game.
I mean, Jill even played this game.
Right. Until Koopy goes, "Do you have Rocket League?" And I was like, because I already had my list done. I was like, "Holy fuck, I forgot all about that game." But yeah, Rocket League is amazing and it's cheap. I got it for free at the time because when it first came out, it was free for PlayStation Plus members. I think it's like $10.
Yeah, it's super cheap. But no, I agree with you. I don't know how many times
it was the last game me and you got online to play.
Yeah, I'll
together.
say that we would just play together for hours on end. Hey, you're on this game. You ready to play?
Well, and you get like because nothing teaches you. Like, right, if you get like a football game or something, there's plays. Like, you're running this play. Where Rocket League, it's kind of a free-for-all. And when you play with a group of, like, strangers that are all just trying to score, you can get destroyed because no one's working together. Like, when me and you play together, you know, I'll bounce it off a wall to you, and, like, you kind of use some good teamwork, and you do a lot better on the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to be able to communicate with someone and tell them, hey, you know, I'm going to, kick this off to the left, make sure you're coming over the top.
Right. And then eventually, like, you kind of just know what they'll do.
Yeah.
Because you play with them so long.
Exactly. But it gets, I love Rocket League and I could still play it, but I don't have enough time to play video games. But that is one that I would definitely go back to.
Honestly, if there is a game you could kind of get into, it would be that because they are 3-minute matches.
Hey, I'll say you can stop real quick and
they're
be done.
real fast.
But yeah, that agreed.
All right, so what is your number 2?
So my number 2 is going to be MLB The Show. If I have to pick a year, it would be the year that I really started playing it, which was 2008.
Which cover was that?
That was with Ryan Howard of the Phillies. Prior to him being, the most overpaid player of all time.
I would have to say because I love the show too. It's not on my list because I knew you would have it, so I didn't worry about it. Baseball is kind of boring, but it does work well as a video game.
Yeah.
I always try to say whichever one me and you put the most time into when we lived together. I just can't remember what year that. It wasn't I think it was the year before the McCutcheon cover.
Okay, because Andrew McCutcheon was 2013, so it had to have been with Dave Bautista. Or Jose Bautista in 2012.
Me and you played that one a lot. I mean, that was like me and you put us on a team, I think the Mariners or something, and then we pulled up all these guys. Like remember we traded for Mike Trout when he was still in minor leagues.
Yeah.
And no one knew who he was.
What was his name?
Kyle Seager.
Kyle Seager, yep.
We pulled him up from the minor league. And then Eric Chavez.
Eric.
I remember that was a fun thing.
And he came out of nowhere that year.
Right. So he was a washed up guy. We played with him. We got him on our team. He was killing it for us. And then in real life, all of a sudden, he started being awesome.
It was nuts.
We were like, what did we do?
Yeah, but that was the first year I got the PSP. And that's when that was one of the games that I had got with it. And I loved playing the show. I mean, I stopped playing it. I mean, after I think the Andrew McCutcheon in 2013, because it's the exact same game.
So, the thing that's the best about it is also what is the reason I don't buy it anymore. And I really wanted this Ken Griffey when it came out last year.
2017.
But I just knew I wouldn't put enough time into it.
Agreed.
It's that it reached the pinnacle of perfected simulation baseball. They could not get any better. And so they can't do anything else. So, every year, it looks slightly better resolution and a little bit more dirt slides up when they slide into a base.
Fans get a little bit better.
Right, but the physics of batting and pitching and they just have it down so much. So it's like not a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, I've played that.
Yep.
And whenever we used to get it every year, and we would each play with a guy in minor leagues up through the majors, and we would play each other's and stuff.
Yep.
And then for now to be like, I want to do this again. Like, I mean, I've had the same thing about almost all sports games.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it is hard. Like, sometimes you just need a break. Like, I didn't get Madden this year because I'm like, I got to have a break. I can't play it this year and still like it.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think the show is really good. It is currently the only, it's not technically the only baseball game. There's that RBI baseball game, but it's an arcade shitty game or whatever.
That's terrible.
But it's pretty much the only real baseball sim out there at the moment. And it is really good.
Yep.
Super, super good. All right. My number 2 was your number something or another.
Number 5.
Yeah, which is NCAA football. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, so I'm sure yours was very similar to mine in high school with regards to playing this. Every high school kid or boy, excuse me, not to be sexist, but the boys all bought it. And you just talked as much shit with each other as you could until you finally got to play each other on the weekend. And then you would just, for hours, sit there and go back and forth. Maybe if there's 3 or 4 people, you'd rotate. I mean, obviously the winner stayed, losers rotated out. But I just remember putting dozens, if not hundreds of hours into that game of just playing it. Like I said, I remember the first one with Carson Palmer. I don't remember who was after that, but I remember then the next year was with Desmond Howard in Michigan, because I was obviously a huge Michigan fan. And I just, wanted to like that one. But I just remember going to all of my buddies' houses on the weekends, and that's all they would want to play. It was either that or Madden.
Right.
But in high school, for whatever reason, you wanted to play NCAA.
Well, to me, it's a generational thing. If we're trying to compare Madden and NCAA, I enjoy Madden on PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 3 more than I liked NCAA. But on PlayStation 2, I liked NCAA better.
Okay,
like, they were
I can see that.
It ran a little faster.
Yeah.
On the PS2 era, the Madden got all like blocky and it was about strength or whatever. I love NCAA football. I wrote as my favorite one. I think the one me and Marshall spent forever playing was 09. I played a lot. I played every year that they ever came out, including the last one they ever came out with.
Yep.
But I mentioned previously on the podcast that I had this crazy girlfriend whenever broke up and then I basically just hung out at my house or out all the time. And my friend Marshall hung out with me just about every day. And we would do nothing but play NCAA football. And it got to the point, and this was, I think, the last year, whichever the last year you could create a school was the year it was. And it was on PS2, even though I had a 360. We hooked the PS2 up to play it. And we made a school called the Alaska State Tech Rockets.
I remember your Alaska team.
And for whatever, we got so into it, we knew the name of every player on our team, first and last name. And then we knew what town they were from. And then, we came up with, relationships with the team. Cornerback so-and-so is best friends with that tackle. So, and, again, this is college, so we're probably a little not always sober playing this game.
All right.
But we would waste so many hours. And I think what was great about NCAA and puts a little over mad at me is the recruiting part of their, dynasty.
Yeah.
So, almost any game, I'm going to choose a my player mode over the my franchise mode, but NCAA is a little different. I preferred being the coach. You do the recruitment trips. You try to recruit players to your school. I think all of that's what set it apart that made it really fun. I never really do the online thing. I would play when I was in high school. Of course, I played my friends.
Yeah,
but I didn't really. I was always good at the game, but I wasn't I want to be competitive about this. I was the top. I'm gonna make my high school team's uniform on the game. Create a school. I'm gonna make every person on the team. Me and you made the Pikes and put everyone in our fraternity on the team.
Yep.
I just always kind of enjoyed that stuff of it. Now, I don't know if NCAA football will ever come back. Maybe someday, but I just don't know if they're ever going to get the 130-something schools again on one game like they at one time
Not
easily
did. Pay the players there.
Right. And they should have paid them because, when halfback number 28 for OU has the same look as Adrian Peterson, he probably deserves to get paid.
Agreed. I agree with you.
All right. So, what is your number 1?
My number 1 is going to be NFL Blitz on Nintendo 64.
I had it on my honorable mention. It was made by the people that made Mortal Kombat. I'll remember that because you could put in a code before the games, and now I'll play with Raiden heads.
I actually remember that.
Yep, Midway made
And that was one thing that I remember very vividly is those 3 boxes. You try to hurry up and get as many possible codes as you could. Because you'd remember them after a while. I don't remember them now.
Right. At first, you would just put in random shit until something popped.
Yep.
And then you would try to remember that.
You're like, okay, that's what it is. And you try to hurry up and write it down. And then, because you only have like 15 seconds.
Well, that's something we don't have anymore is cheat codes in video games. Now it's just you pay money for DLC.
Yep, and that's it.
You want extras? Here
exactly. But I mean, and then you could, just like with NBA Jam, you could get on fire and you just blow people up, for 20 yards or whatever it was. But I remember playing that game quite often. And I remember my mom.
What was that the base MLB hits? Is that what it was called? Bigs? The Bigs?
Bigs. I think it was the Bigs.
That was it. And but they had a baseball version of that as well, and I remember that one being fun.
They have an NHL version as well. Yeah. But in the NFL Blitz, and this was actually, it was the very next year that I had gotten it. And this was the only time I had gotten a cheat book. But they had sold those video game cheats. Mm-hmm. But on NFL Blitz, it only had like 1 page, but it had like 25 different codes.
Right.
And you try to fly through them all. But again, the problem is you only have like 15 seconds, and you have to wait for it to acknowledge it, and then you could do it again.
It was like you could do like 3 maybe.
Yeah, and that was about as many. And you say you have to pick like unlimited turbo. I think was always one I'd try to get,
right?
Because you would want that, but. I don't know how many times I played that in the living room, but NFL Blitz, that's my number one. Mosier, what do you have as number one?
Just comment on Blitz real quick, because me personally, I don't have any NFL football games on my list. I would prefer Madden over Blitz, because Blitz was just, again, it was an arcade game.
It was.
It's like, and you could tell it was geared for quarters, because they were in arcades. Like, the quarter's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Want to continue? Like, you know what I mean? It had like those sort of things to it. And there wasn't, I've always been drawn to like, can I save something? Like, can I play this game and save that data? And I think it just didn't have that. If they had a league mode or something, I might have been a little more into it. Yeah. But Blitz was really fun. I remember going to my friend's house and playing it a lot. And like I said, in arcades. Mm-hmm. Like if you go to a Pizza Hut, and they'd have a Blitz machine there. All right, my number one, no surprise to you, is NBA 2K.
I figured you'd have it on there.
I haven't chosen a year yet. I was going to go with, because I was looking at my trophies earlier. Mm-hmm. The one I feel like me and you played the most, because we played a lot when we lived together, like a lot of NBA.
A lot.
I feel like it was NBA 2K13, and that was the last one that was just PS3. Mm-hmm. So I felt like that was it, but maybe not. Maybe it was 12 that we played. I know the one with Jordan we played a lot of and had the greatest of all time. Like, we had a lot of years. But then 14, which was the first one on PS4, I had way more trophies on that one. So it looks like I played that one a lot more.
Yeah.
But it may have just been I was going for trophies.
Going for trophies rather than just playing the game.
Right. Whereas when me and you played it, I'd be a point guard, you'd be a center. We'd make us young and not very good on a shitty team, and we'd work our way up. And we would just play that game forever, but we weren't trying to go for
I really liked it because of the facial recognition you could do and do your picture.
Right.
Where it scanned your face.
And that one started in a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, right? That is awesome. I love anything on my face. So, like, some honorable mentions I'll clear in later. Some of the reasons they are is because EA has an EA face thing that you can do on their website. And anytime I'm like, can I put my exact face on there? It's going to make me feel better about the game. Yeah. Like, when I started Fallout 4, I spent 2 hours and made that dude look just like me. Like, I care about that somewhat.
The only problem I ever had was trying to turn your face perfectly in a straight line.
Well, right, and they've gotten better, because so you used to have to actually have a camera attached to your PlayStation 4 or Xbox to do it, but now you just get the app on your phone and you do it, and it's so much easier. Now, I have like not a large forehead, but like I have like a widow's peak, so I have like the receding hairline in the corners. Mm-hmm. And somehow it normally reads like that whole thing's my forehead, and I have a dark smudge on my forehead as opposed to like my hairline. So I really wish there was a way that you could just chop off like, no, this is where my hairline starts. Yeah. And that would make my guy look a little more like me, because that's the only thing that ever throws mine off. But everything else always has like this little mole I have. Yeah. And then the little thing I have inside my eye socket, like it picks up everything. You're like, oh shit, that's me. Except my dude smiles too much, and I don't smile like that.
Very true.
Like, it gets my little frown lines I have, but then my dude smiles, but he has frown lines.
Big
and you're like, what am I?
Exactly.
But I do love the NBA 2K games. I've been taking a break on this year's. I get on the app and get my little coins. and then I'll go on and add some to my guy, kind of taking it slow there. Eventually, I'll get back to it because I just will. I mean, I watch basketball all the time, so I'm always like, fuck, I want to go play that game. But I just have other games I have to beat, and NBA 2K is not a game you can beat.
Not really.
Like, you can just kind of play it forever. So, yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite. I think they define what a My Career mode is, and those are my favorite parts of games. Their micro mode's better than anybody's.
I mean, now, it's pretty awesome.
Every year it's like a different story, and I really wish someday that they could make all those options.
Combine them?
Right. So, like, Spike Lee did a year, which he ruined it because I'm so pissed at Spike Lee about him doing this story of 1 year. I think you played that years. Mm-hmm. You only played 8 games in your rookie season, so you couldn't even do anything. In your first, and it was all just watching cutscenes of what Spike Lee wanted to direct. And what happened was his name got attached to it, so more people played that one than any of the other games, and then they reference that story when they're like, but it was shitty, because it was the worst one that's ever been done, was the one Spike Lee did, and every year it's better. But like that year, you were a lottery pick, guaranteed. And then some years they're like, you don't make a team, you're a walk-on.
And you have a 10-day contract.
Right, they do a different thing every year. I just really wish that you done like your pre-draft stuff, and then how you perform depend on which story
which one you got. Agreed. That would be awesome.
And then they could make like 5 or 6 different storylines in there depending on where you go. But I understand that's more work. They do these every year. They don't have a whole lot of time. But I would like to see it
maybe it's
branching
one of their future
stories.
endeavors that they'll eventually have.
Right. I think branching stories would be cool. But they're really going more to online play, and that's how every game is these days, which sucks.
Yep.
But when you go on now, like that's what most people care about.
That's what most people want to play. For sure.
Now, I also have another thing while I'm on NBA 2K. My other dream basketball game would be if they could do, like, I don't know what year the NBA started officially, but I would say let's start the first year ABA and NBA combined. Mm-hmm. And then you start the game that year, and then you play through the history of the NBA. So, like, let's say you're going to be like the Celtics.
Yeah.
And then you have Larry Bird. But you trade Larry Bird because
I see what you're saying.
You're like, but I could get this guy, like Michael Jordan's coming.
Yeah.
I could trade for that pick, and I could get Michael Jordan. And I just feel like that'd be really fun to replay
Change up
history.
The whole history.
Right, because guys be on different things. I think they should all come to the league about where they're at, but as far as their development, it could all change.
Depending on what you do.
Right, I just think that'd be super fun. But it's on an annualized thing.
No, I mean, that would be a one-time game, and that would be it.
And it would probably cost a bunch of money.
But it would probably take them multiple years to get that created, but I think it'd be worth, even if it was $100 game at that point.
And I think it'd be cool because you would start before the 3-point shot was established.
Yeah.
So the core would look different. You'd be playing a different type of basketball at the beginning.
Could you imagine playing it the year that they say, okay, now next year the 3-point shot's going to be in, and now you've got,
and then it just shows up until you play that season, and then taking further, like the 90s when, Jordan was awesome, there was hand checking. So, like, literally the way they officiate the game is different. So you could just smash the square button to steal.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't really count against you. But then as soon as they change that rule in the next season, it's like foul.
Exactly. Goes crazy. That'd be awesome.
I don't know. I just think that would be super cool. I don't think it'll ever happen. But if you could do a history of the NBA game, I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be awesome. All right. So, some honorable mentions. You've already mentioned a few of these on here, but one of them I wanted to mention is UFC.
Yeah, I will say I think the old THQ Undisputed games.
The Undisputed, I should clarify.
Are better than the new EA games.
Yes.
I think the new EA games look great. They're fun, but you can win in 3 seconds. Yeah. And it's too easy. I guess that's one thing. It's too easy.
I have, for one game that we played at Tanglehood, and I believe I could be wrong, was it Mario and Sonic Olympics?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know if that was a sports game, so I put it down as an honorable mention just in case.
For sure.
But it was...
That is the most tiring thing, yeah.
I remember the swimming one. We were so fucking tired.
We couldn't beat that one.
It was so bad.
Yeah, that game was pretty fun.
But it was awesome. And did you ever play this? It was called Major League Baseball, and it had King Griffey Jr. And I believe it was 64. I could be incorrect, but I thought it was 64.
Was it just King Griffey's baseball game? Like yes. King Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I think that was maybe King Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball.
It sounds familiar.
And it was just, obviously a very blocky style. But it was one of the I think it was actually one of the first baseball games I had played. Obviously, King Griffey Jr. being my favorite player, I wanted to play it. But I just remember there was a few components to that game. The fans obviously were circles in the crowd, but I mean, it was and maybe it was like, I don't know, square or X or something. That was just your hit, and that was it.
Right.
But that was my first baseball game to play.
All right, real quick, I want to bring up, because that reminded me, there's other games, like I loved Kobe Bryant's video game. I think it was called Courtside with Kobe Bryant, was his basketball game. Had 4-point shot circles that would pop up in the middle of the game. So that was pretty fun. On Sega Genesis, I loved Joe Montana that had a football game. Probably called like Joe Montana's football. I remember that game very well, to being like, that is the reason I actually like football, because I got that game, I played it, and then I had to pick plays and actually understand. Like Tecmo Bowl, you chose a play and it just did it for you. You didn't really do anything. And then so this Joe Montana game I got, like it plays just like Madden plays today. Like it's almost the same thing. Like you have 3 plays to choose from, or someone you chose your play, and then you say HUD and your receivers are running, you hit the button who you want to throw. I mean, it was just how you play it now. And so I remember that one was real important because my grandpa would come over and he would watch me. Like, he didn't care anything about football or about video games, but because I was playing football, and he'd be like, oh, you got to run this one. And so I remember that one stuck with me because of that. And I mentioned on a previous podcast, Barkley Shut Up and Jam on Sega Genesis was my basketball game.
Yeah.
That long ago. But I was just thinking, when you talk about baseball, there was this game in the arcades. An arcade in Waurika, they did have it. And it was like, there'd be like a pitching robot.
Okay.
Like you chose a team, but it was like in the future, but you were playing baseball, and you would have like these weird alien looking creatures or robots or just humanoids, on your team. But like a robot would pitch to you, and then, it was just an arcade baseball game. You tried to hit home runs, get around the bases and stuff, and then you would pitch to them. And it was one of the most fun arcade games I ever played, and it just came into my mind. So we really need to look and figure out what that game is and see a video, and I guarantee you've played it because you've
I bet I have. I just have to see it. I'm more visual. There was another game that we had kind of mentioned earlier, NHL Hits.
Yeah.
2002. I remember that because they had this guy, I don't know his name, he was from the New Jersey Devils, I believe. But me and my Uncle Bill, I don't think there was a time when I went over him and my aunt's house that we didn't play that for like 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
And we would always, because he was a huge Colorado Avalanche fan, we were always chosen because it was 3-on-3. And if you, I don't know, I think if you got a one-timer, or maybe it was 2 one-timers, your 2 guys lit up with lightning bolts and it made them like stronger. And there was like no fouls. Like you could just check people like crazy.
Right. Well, and then earlier we talked about NBA Street. There was also NFL Street.
Yes, there was.
I remember that game being like you would play in an alleyway and run on walls and shit.
Random places.
I remember that game being
they try to take everything to the streets.
Yeah, and the last thing I have here on my sports teams I can think of is I always wanted to like NASCAR games.
Yep.
Like I really want to. I know it said no racing games. NASCAR is the only one I would accept because it's like I don't know. It just seems like it is more of it's a sport more than other racing games. I don't know why. But I had a friend in high school named Josh Lewis, and his dad, he raced cars, right? Those dirt track stuff.
Yep.
And he was obsessed with playing NASCAR, but he would play it however many laps you really do at the Daytona 500. I always thought it was 500 laps, and that's what they call it that, but I don't think that's accurate. I don't know enough about that
Maybe
shit.
it's 500 miles. I don't.
But anyway, he would do because on those settings, it would normally put Daytona's 500, you do 12 laps, right? Like the default settings. But he would take the settings to real life settings. So whatever you really did in real life. So he would play that game and a race would take him 3 hours. And so and he would put so much time into it. He would test drive it on the course before he started. He would lower the tilt of his spoilers and just fill every little amount. And I've never seen anyone play a video game like this where he was so meticulous, took it for real. And then when he would start his race, it was motherfuckers, the next 3 hours, so I'm doing. And again, I hate on NASCAR all the time because it's just a bunch of left turns. And that's all he would do. But he was got to time these pit stops right. And he would win or lose or whatever.
Yeah.
Crash. It was like watching real NASCAR.
That's crazy.
And I was always like, man, I wish I could get into this stuff.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, because I've looked into NASCAR games, they're just not good anymore.
Yeah.
But if they were, I would try.
And by the way, Daytona 500 is because it's a 500-mile long race.
Is he?
They go 500 miles.
Okay.
Not 500. I don't know how many laps they go.
Right. Well, I'm guessing, the laps are more than a mile long. If not, it would be fun as shit to watch.
You're right. That'd be
lots of wrecks.
That'd be badass. But yeah, man, that's all I have. I don't have anyone else on sports games.
All right, yeah, man. So that's really all we have this week. Again, send us an email.
Yeah.
Next week, I think we're going to try to cover rap songs made by me.
We are.
We'll see if it comes together because so far neither one of us have a top 5 for that. We really need to have
honestly,
one.
Though, it's going to be tough for me to choose the top 5. I mean, for the longest time, I only listened to you and Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
For probably a good 3 straight years.
Well, and one thing I've noticed, at least in my music, because I think I am inspired by a lot of rappers I listened to when I first started. But once I started rapping, I do get in a mode where I'm like, well, if I'm going to go writing again, or when I did do that, I only listen to me. So it's like I iterate on my own style. So eventually I got my own style.
Yeah.
But it took just not listening to anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it took
ever.
4 mixtapes, 5.
I think I made 6 total.
Well, I would say 5 before I thought it was like, bam, this is it.
Oh yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah, probably.
But we can talk more about that next week. Again, guys, if y'all have any questions, suggestions, or corrections from today or any previous podcast, please email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That is THEPOWWWITHMO@gmail.com.
All right, and fingers crossed because we have new drivers on this and we're trying to record something different today. Hopefully it didn't all fuck up.
That's right.
All right, peace.
Peace.